Again, I just don't understand this. I mean, it's not supposed to be a picture, it's a comic book. This is supposed to be the cover. That's supposed to be the cover. It's a comic book cover. I'm not kidding.
So you both, or your characters, I should say, work in a library.
Mm-hmm.
You've had a lot of episodes centered on books and books and characters. You had an entire season.
Or the entire show.
Yes. Well, I mean, yes. What are some of your favorite books?
You got one?
Sort of have an affinity for anything written by Roald Dahl. That was my upbringing. So yeah, he was really good at penning worlds that you really can envision and put yourself into. So I always thought I was in the chocolate factory. I was, and that was sort of a lot of fun growing up. So yeah. Recently though, I've been getting into graphic novels, I think is the correct term. I started with Saga, and now I've moved into Preacher, which I'm on the third collection. So someone told me that I'm starting with like the best of the best, and I'm just gonna like be more disappointed as life goes on.
There's one more that's up there with that. It's Hell something. I can't remember.
Hellboy?
No, it's not Hellboy. My book is definitely my favorite book of all time. Is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And a lot of books, I'm not a diehard fan of Paulo Coelho because I love some of his books, and then I don't really get into some of his other books. But The Alchemist has always been my go-to book. And I think I buy it. I think I've got it in 3 different countries now that are different languages and stuff like that. I've actually got it in his native tongue, and hopefully one day I'll learn how to read that the way he wrote it. So I give out The Alchemist to people. How's your life? It sucks. Here's The Alchemist. It's true.
Wow.
What is it you love about The Alchemist so much?
There's some spiritual notes in there, and I hated flying. I still hate flying, but I do it so much that I have to. But I remember I would not let myself read it outside of the plane. So if it was a 45-minute flight, 2-hour flight, I would read it. And I started marking stuff down in red, so it got me through flights as well, because I just hated to fly, just because I hate to fly. I'm claustrophobic, so it's like, but it helped me through that for a long time. I was very sad when it was over with, but not only is it spiritual for me, there's magic in it, you know what I mean? Like, Paulo Coelho is a very religious writer, but he puts magic in there as well, you know what I mean? And so it's just, I don't know, it's a fantasy world, but it's got so many quotes that you can take in life, and I can't quote any of them right now, but they're in there.
Christian, what was the transition like from going from a character in Angel where you're, I guess you would say like...
everybody's punching bag?
Yeah, everybody's punching bag, kind of bordering the line of hero and villain towards the end, and going into a character that, like in the Librarians, where you're basically just mostly the hero.
Well, it was a really great transition for me. I'll tell you why. Because Lindsay in Angel was the bad guy. He started turning a little bit good towards the end. I still think I should have been there for that final fight. But this day and age, I was always mad about that. I was really upset about that. But now that Andy Hallett's no longer with us and stuff like that, I'm glad that he was the one that killed me. You know what I mean? Because he was my dear friend, and I miss him every day. And so that was and then it went into Leverage, which I was the hero, but I was also the bad guy. We were the villains, but we were just fighting a good fight. And then you get to play the Librarians, where it was just a good old boy who gets to be the hero all the time. So going from the absolute evil and transitioning all the way through to the absolute good is fun. However, there's a couple of twists at the end of this season that, we can't talk about later. There's a couple of twists to where we're all deciding who we are, and me and him get into it a lot this year. So it's going to be fun watching that dynamic back and forth, and it's always fun to work with him.
Thanks, man.
We're on
it's okay
camera,
working with you. I mean, Christian's he's the closest thing to a big brother I'll ever have, so very lucky to have him on set.
Well, speaking of working together, Lindy is directing. So do you see that as a next step? I know this is your first US TV show. Do you see that as something happening in your future?
Yeah.
He directed me. We did a small project in the off season, and he directed me. I did what I wanted to.
Trying to give Christian notes is it's an interesting task. No, I called Dean up at the end of season 3. And essentially, it was a pretty casual conversation. I was like, "Hey, Dean, how's life?" And he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "All right." I go, "What do you?" When we finished filming, what do you do with the cameras? Like, what happens to them? And he's like, oh, well, they go into maintenance for a week and then we ship them back to LA. I'm like, okay, cool. Hey, can I borrow them for like, I don't know, like 4 days or something? And Dean was actually really gracious and very generous, and he essentially said, look, if you can convince some of the camera operators to work on this thing that you want to shoot with you, then I'm all for it. So I wrote a script while I was shooting, and essentially I remember going to pitch it to Gary Camp, our A camera operator, and he, I didn't even get through the question. I was like, hey Gary, so I'm a really bad schmoozer, and I'm like, yeah, there's this thing I want to kind of do. I need a guy that can hold a camera, and he's like, I'll do it. And I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. So we ended up shooting, and that was cool. We had Reggie Lee come out and play my father. We had Arden Cho from Teen Wolf come and play my sister, and it's a cool sort of Japanese backstory. And then we shot with the wonderful Christian Kane, and that was probably some of the most fun we've had.
Just kicked the shit out of everybody.
Yeah. Like, so someone told me that Christian Kane's really good at fight scenes. I went, you know what? Maybe I should chuck him in some. So we had a good time, and yeah, I'm just in the middle of editing that now. And yeah, I mean, it was my first attempt at directing, but
You did a great job.
yeah, I think it's going to come together really well.
Yeah, directing is a lot of trusting the camera guy, trusting the director of photography and stuff like that. It's not just one person. They don't all
team,
matter. And so Lindy had a family with her as she walked into this thing.
Yeah.
She did exactly what she was supposed to do.
She was fantastic. And I guess the benefit of coming on board as a director on a show you already know everyone top to bottom was she didn't have to worry about relationships or how to speak to people, because she knew them all. She knew exactly how to address certain people, and she was so good in her vision and relaying that to us that by the end of our initial pep talk, everything, she was so great with communication.
Yeah, the scenes she hated the most were the ones that she was in because she couldn't be behind the monitor. She's very comfortable behind the monitor.
Yeah, she's. I don't think that'll be her last directing gig by any means. Yeah.
She'll direct one next season.
Yeah.
You mentioned before, and I want to take this to a bigger picture question. Going from Angel to Leverage, now you've also seen the landscape of television change quite a bit.
Yeah, sure.
What's the biggest difference, and either of you noticed, especially for American television, between the Angel days and now in regards to as actors and as creative forces?
If you've asked me as an actor, so I'll answer it as an actor. The problem that you have is that people that die for this, people that live their life to do this stuff, they're losing jobs. Reality TV has come in and it's taken over and it's kicking the shit out of Hollywood. And you may think, yes, they make a lot of money and the executives aren't upset with it, but I feel really sorry for any kid that gets off the bus with a dream these days because they're just not out there. You know what I mean? It's like there's very few quality dramas that we're doing, much less have a drama go a season, much less have a drama go 4 seasons. You know what I mean? And I've been an advocate for it for a while. I think reality TV is killing this industry. And so it's sad because there used to be if you believed in what you did, then that's what you did as an actor. You fought for it. And I used to tell people, I'm like, don't ever stop. If this is what you want to do, you have to give your whole life. Sometimes that means not getting married, not having kids, you have to give your whole life. You have to crunch your hours, but you will do something great someday. You can't promise that to anybody anymore, because there's just not a lot of jobs out there. There's not a lot of quality, hour-long drama, comedy TV shows anymore. You know what I mean? Because of all this stuff. And I don't really care who's rapping or whose dad's doing this or what housewife is. It's just like we need to concentrate on that stuff more, and that's why we're so fortunate right now to have this job. I don't want to I'm obviously not getting political, but I'm just saying, and that's the thing, is that there was so much life out there before, and Hollywood just kind of seems dead now. There's not as many jobs and people, the heart's not there anymore. You know what I mean?
Just a quick follow-up on that. I just want to ask,
Yeah.
do you see, for lack of a better phrase, a light at the end of the tunnel now that there's streaming services and that you're seeing more online services that are looking for more scripted product? Do you think that's a possible hope, or is it just sounds good, but
I'm on the fence of that. I think it's great. I think in certain situations it's great. I think in certain, but it's just look. We also have 16 million more channels than we did 10 years ago. So there is, I watch the Cooking Network. I watch Chopped. It's one of my favorite shows. I feel like that's on the Food Network, though. You're not taking anything away from NBC or CBS or WB or TNT for that matter. That's a Food Network. I watch that, and it's supposed to be on there. You know what I mean? But these people that I'm not going to get into the whole. But yes, but I do like what Netflix is doing. I do like what Hulu is doing. I think there's some other great venues for that. That are coming out. People that are doing shows, and I applaud them. You know what I mean? Because they're giving us more venues to work on this stuff. You know?
I'm going to follow up real quick. Why do you think the Librarians has managed to last in this sort? You're saying it doesn't go one season, you're lucky if it maybe goes 2 seasons. Why do you think, or both of you can answer this, what do you think is so special and unique about the Librarians that it does have this very rabid following? And as one of those rabid followers,
You know, well, I mean, it's just I'm gonna bring up another show that I did, Leverage. You know
I
what
loved
mean?
that one too.
Thank you. And so it's sort of the same thing, and I'll tell you why I really think it's successful in this situation. We're all going through a rough time right now. There are other countries, but America as well, all going through a rough time right now. Things have been tough for a bit. You know what I mean? We have so many situations that we really need to deal with. Our job is for you to sit down on that couch, not think about your job, not think about life, not think about what's out there in the world, and be entertained. This is entertainment. And I think that we fight the good fight on Leverage for the guys that you couldn't do it. On the Librarians, we let you get to have a Sunday night, now a Wednesday night, to where you get to forget about life for a while. And, I mean, when I first wanted to be an actor, I would watch movies and put myself in the shoes. When I watched Top Gun, I was Tom Cruise during that movie. My mind was able to go there. And I think people can. They get to step out of reality for a bit, and especially with this, go into a fantasy. And I think it's so fun. And I think the reason why this show allows it to do that is because it's not a drama. And it's not a comedy. It's action, drama, comedy, emotion. It's all that wrapped up into one. Leverage did it. Librarians really does it. And so you get every single, I like to call it like Baskin Robbins, you know what I mean? There's all 31 flavors in this show. And that's what people want to see. They want to feel good. They want, you know what I mean? It's like,
Just more on that, I think it worked out really well that at a time when everyone was trying to be the next gritty, cool, hip, edgy thing coming on, we came out with a product that was so familiar and that anyone of any age could enjoy. So I think what happened was this weird kind of vacuum effect where everyone went over to this side and we kind of just stuck our roots in down, and it worked out really well. That now you talk about family shows. I mean, I don't know if there really is one that you can watch from grandkids all the way through to grandparents.
yeah, the last 4 years I've had more kids come up to me and shake my hand. And stuff.
My kid loves me so.
All of them. They used to do that on Angel, and I would, you know, like a 5-year-old would come up and go, "I love you" on Angel, and I'd be like, "Thank you so much." And they're like, "Nice fucking parenting." Like I work for the devil. The kid is.
So
Anyway, I'm just saying.
So the Librarians is about fighting for things, a lot of different things. I feel like season 4 is going to get into that even more. One of the things that I've really enjoyed watching it for is sort of like fighting for knowledge and history and intelligence. And I think that all three of the lits have very different kinds of intelligence. So why do you think intelligence or history or knowledge are things like, or the library, are things worth fighting for?
I think you know, as we used to say, age of the geek, baby. I think that in the last 10 years, intelligence has become very sexy. It's, you know what I mean? It's the new cool thing to do. You know what I mean? And so I think that's helped us out a lot. But also, you know, I don't want to. Do you want to answer some of this stuff? I've got sort of a. So I read this book. I read this book. It's better if I do this anyway. I read this book, The Devil in the White Sands. Love that book. Leonardo DiCaprio's doing the movie, and but the thing was, reading that book. It was a murder. It was our version of Jack the Ripper, you know, in Chicago. But it was also a history lesson of how Chicago was built. And I found myself enthralled with the drama and the horror and everything else was going on. But at the same time, I was learning so much history. You know, you go into this deep story, then you learn a little bit of history. And I thought that was so much fun.
That's the one about the World Fair?
Yeah,
yeah.
Chicago took it from St. Louis and made Chicago. Anyway, so I just think that's kind of fun because not only do you get to learn, you get to be entertained and you get to laugh. You know what I mean? You walk away. You know about 3 to 4 different things that you didn't know that actually makes you a better person by knowing it, watching one episode of The Librarians. Yeah. And you got to laugh and cry the whole way through. So I think that's what works so much. Did that answer your question?
Are we going to see more music?
I sing on the show this year. Noah wrote an episode.
We gotta wrap it up.
He put me in there singing. And
Thank you.
Ezekiel Jones can't have any of it, but he can't stand it. But it's going to be great. Oh, that's for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for your time. I hope we got to everything. Sorry if I
Thank you.
talked too much, especially on the reality thing. I've been an advocate for it for so long.
I
I love your music.
Thank you so much.